Well, hello, folks. I have another retro video for you to look at today. It's from May 2016, and what it shows is a seasonal creek that I have. The origin of the creek is not on my property. It enters into my property from the eastern side. I do have a plot plan, and I'll put a link in the description, a map, if you will, of my property, so you can see the area that I'm talking about. But what you're going to see is this creek during a storm, or more accurately, during a break in the storm. I don't remember if this was an exceptionally wet year in 2016, but I think it was probably just an average year, as this creek usually flows approximately 4 to 6 months out of the year. So yeah, a nice little seasonal creek, and I've mentioned in my water management videos, I've done at least 3 videos, and it is on this section of the yard. I've mentioned that this is kind of a difficult situation to manage. I do have a pond, a hand-dug pond that I've been digging. It is not in this video. At this point in time, I have done absolutely nothing except for maybe throw a few rocks down around the creek to keep it from washing away the creek bed or the bank. So you'll also get to take a look at this section of my yard before I've done any type of, I don't think I've even done any tree trimming at this point other than to clear out a path to walk through it. So I mentioned that it's a difficult spot to manage, and you're going to see why in this video. I will say that I have an update series that I did this summer to show every garden bed in my yard. And some of the garden beds that this area contains are the Mustang grape bed, and I have at least 2 pond beds. I want to say pond south and pond northeast bed. And I have those videos in a playlist if you wish to see them. So you can see how different these sections of my yard actually look. Okay, so let's get this underway. Now I'm going to warn you that it's a bit of a shaky cam. This is a video that my son took, actually, and he was much younger then than he is now. And I would say that his camera skills were still in development. So hopefully you'll bear with me. It's much like my other video I did, my other retro video. It's I forget the title, but it's called something Before the Garden. I think if you were able to stand the shaky cam in that, then this won't be too bad. I'll pause it so that way there won't be too many spots. I've even tried stabilizing the video, and trust me, it's even worse when I try to do that. So let's get this underway. You can see if you look at the footpath, you'll see there's water puddling there because the creek is overflowing the banks a little bit. And you can see we're getting closer here. You can see the volume of this water and the speed it's coming in, and why it can be a challenge because it's coming in off the property, and I'm wanting to capture as much of it as I can. And to the left is where the pond is now. So I have started to capture that. If you look at this footpath, you can see the leaf litter's washed away, the grass is pushed over, some topsoil is gone. That doesn't happen anymore. I've bolstered the creek banks a considerable amount. And there it is. This is where the creek flows into my property. And where it's coming from, I don't own that section. Wish I did. And he's zooming in here on a puddle that happens right in front of the pond and northeast bed every time it rains. And on the other, to the right of that puddle, I do own that. It's a new plot of land I own. And look at that. It's a ton of water. But yeah, I own that plot of land to the right of it, and it puddles even more over there. So now we've cut to a fork in this creek. And this fork then converges with the main branch of the creek, which that's the main branch of the creek right now, and that's where it exits. And where it exits is the lowest point in the property. It's just an enormous amount of water. Flowing pretty fast. You see to the right, there's that fork where it comes in and converges. And all that I have on my plot plan map. I did a video with the plot plan of my property, so you can see how this water flows from kind of like a bird's eye perspective. All right, I'm going to pause it right here. That little blur, see if I can go back a little bit. Maybe I'll try to get that blur out of there. There we go. Just slightly above the center of the screen, you see this long section of logs all lay in the same direction. that is my lazy man swale. And I did a video on that. What I use this for is, for me, it's because I'm relatively lazy or I don't have time, and or I'm trying to figure out where would be a good place to put a swale. So what I'll do is go out in the rain, I'll lay logs down, and that informs me on what effect a swale might have. And even if you leave it that way for a while, even if you never put in a swale, it's still beneficial. It still does slow down the water. So I think it's a useful tool, if anything, to tell you where to put swales. But certainly it can be an erosion control tool that you can use. And in the meantime, these logs are getting soaking wet and they're breaking down and improving the soil. And you can always relocate them later and use them in hugel mounds and things like that. And of course, if you wanted to use a leveler and surveying equipment or whatever to figure out where to put your swales, there's obviously nothing wrong with that. But I find that doing these lazy man swales just so much easier, faster even. And I don't know that it's any more accurate, but I tend to think that if you use the water as your guide, it's probably going to work better. You'll also see just below on the bottom of the screen, this lazy man swale, you'll see the water flowing through it. And on the above it, we're about to walk that direction, you're going to see a lot of water puddling. You get a better visual of just how much water is being slowed because of this. Here we go. Right there. So I'm going to pause it here because the shaky cam, but through the shaky cam, if you look, you'll see the raindrops hitting the water here on the bottom of the screen, and you can see the relatively, about how much depth is in that water. So if you keep walking past this, there's a fence, and I own the property on the other side of that fence, and there's a spot over there right near the fence where the water puddles even more than this. So I have high hopes that I might get a third pond out of the deal. Yeah, you see those raindrops. And I think the video's about to be over.